Welcome, everyone, to another episode of From Stuck to Limitless, the show where we bring you fire starters and change makers with tips and insights to uplevel your life from stuck to limitless. I am your host, Marie McKenzie, and this evening is no exception. We have another amazing guest, and I'm just going to hand over to him and let him introduce himself. Keith, tell us all about you.
Thank you, Marie. I appreciate you having me on. It's great to be here. And I feel like I was stuck and now I'm limitless. And it took the better part of just around 30 years to get from that point. When I was 44, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor. Fortunately, it was benign, called an acoustic neuroma. I had 10 hours of brain surgery. And then in 1996, I made a the most pivotal decision of my life. It sounds very simplistic, but just going to this corner store and buying a newspaper was the most important thing I have ever done, because I was at my retirement or my lakefront condo up in Lakeland, Pisaki, every weekend, kind of alone and lonely. And I was looking for some companionship, somebody to go to a movie with, etc. And I opened up the personal ad and saw one that's kind of stuck out at me. It said WWWF. I had no idea what that meant, but I was curious enough to dial, and got a nice young lady on the phone. We talked for an hour, bonded over our love of family and friends. And I finally got the courage to say, what does WWWF mean? Or what is an acronym for? And she said, widowed white female. I said, what about the third W? She said, must be a typo. I said, okay, I can live with that. Of course, 27 years later, I realized that third W was for wonderful.
Oh.
And then we hit it off right away. We started dating, and the first present I gave her, Marie, was to have to sit through 12 excruciating more hours of life-threatening brain surgery.
Wow.
They had gotten the entire tumor, but they had not gotten the surrounding tumor cells. So I had another 12 hours of surgery, and I don't want to bore you with all the medical details, but suffice to say, it wasn't anywhere near as pretty or as easy as the first time around. And I had headaches to beat the band, et cetera, et cetera. I couldn't sleep or walk or talk or much of anything for 5 weeks. And during that 5-week period, I just was frustrated and sat there and ate and ate and ate and ate. And all of a sudden, one morning, I got on the scales and it said 340.
All of a sudden, right?
340 pounds, yeah. And I was only 5'10" at the time, even though I have a big frame from playing football and hockey. And I looked in the mirror and I said, you finally met the girl of your dreams after 44 years of searching for her. And now you're not going to be with her very long because you're that far overweight. So I began to work out. I also changed my nutrition patterns a lot. On our first date, she had said, you know what the 4 food groups are? And I said, of course I do. Pizza, Chinese food, Bud Light, and Ben & Jerry. So I've drastically changed. Obviously, I made some changes first, and then when the cancer struck, I made some more changes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have fruit and or vegetables at just about every meal now. And from that point forward, we were married in 97. We had 20 good years of almost perfect health for both of us. And then in 2018, I was told I had prostate cancer. And I had to wait 6 months for my surgery. And for me, waiting 6 minutes is hard, never mind 6 months. I had the surgery. It went fine. prostate was removed. I was healthy, cancer-free. And then on a follow-up blood test, it was determined I had high levels of protein in my blood. I had no idea what that meant. And I was going to be referred to my urologist referred me to a hematologist. I had no idea what that meant either. And on March 27th, 2019, Susan and I walked in, accompanied by her very dear friend of ours, Angie Caton, who is the assistant director of oncology at the local hospital. And she was there as my patient advocate and also to interpret, medical speak to layman's terms. And the doctor looked at me and she was very straight shooter. And she said, "You have multiple myeloma, which is another form of cancer. It's a rare blood cancer." And when she said it's not curable, I just kind of lost it mentally. And I went to what I call a fog of denial. And I didn't hear the rest, but Susan and Angie did, and said, "It's treatable, but it's not curable." And now I find that there are people with advances in treatments that are living 25 to 30 years with multiple myeloma. I feel great, better than ever. I've got new treatments that are working well. And as I told Pastor Patty before he came on with us, we are on vacation on the beach at St. Simon's Island, swimming every day. And then after the melanoma or the myeloma was in check, so to speak, I had a stem cell transplant and medication started working and I started feeling great. Then I was diagnosed with melanoma, skin cancer, in 2021. And I had 6 hours of surgery to remove that. And from that point forward, all the medications they gave me were working very, very well, to the point where I went from essentially being bedridden for 9 weeks, including 4 hospital stays, to running 40 consecutive minutes on a treadmill.
Wow.
And I can now say that I feel better and healthier, both mentally and physically, at 71 years young than at any time since I started playing hockey when I was 28.
So you faced cancer 3 times.
Yes.
And
cancer 3 times, brain surgery twice, and morbid obesity once.
wow. And so you went literally from stuck to limitless, because
Absolutely.
how long now since you've been in remission?
It's been about 3 years or so.
3 years or so.
Yeah.
So in 2020, you wrote this amazing book, On the Road to Remission.
Yeah.
And tell us about it. I read it and I love the humor that you sprinkle in the story.
I've always tried to sprinkle humor in to all my writing, and people seem to appreciate it. And it was just, from start to finish, from the diagnosis on March 27th to 2019 to all the events that led up to my getting home, graduating from the program, getting back in the gym. It was a lot of fun. I've gotten tremendous feedback. Everyone that's read it seems to have enjoyed it. And as a matter of fact, I'm writing another one now, my 6th book. But Remission was my favorite. And I love to tell the story about the shorts coming down, the chapter where making everyone laugh in the waiting room. I jumped up. I was running late. Threw my shorts on, got my belt. Didn't realize that I had lost another 30 pounds quite by accident. I thought I was eating 3 squares a day, and I thought it was fine. And we walked into a waiting room with no walls, no barriers between it. There was like 30 to 40 chairs full of people, and they all had kind of sour expressions because they were all cancer patients waiting to be treated. Not a lot of smiles in the room, not a lot of chit chat. And when they called my name, I jumped up and I went up and my shorts went down. Fortunately, I was wearing underwear And I was able to grab my shorts and get them back up before anyone got their camera phones out to record this for posterity. But it gave everyone a chuckle, and that, you know, we all needed that at that time. Everyone started laughing, and you know, as I was leaving, they're pointing, that's the guy whose shorts came down, and what have you. But you know, it was an interesting journey. The I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Who or what do you credit with that grit that you have? A lot of people face like cancer or illnesses, and it's like, oh, I'm done. They're depressed, but
Yeah.
you face it with gusto.
Well, a couple
Where
of
do
things.
you
Number
get
one
that
is Susan.
grit?
Susan, my lovely wife. She was my sole caregiver for all three cancer journeys. And without going into any gory details, she did things that are not in the caregiver's handbook by any stretch of the imagination, but she did it with patience and, you know, strength that's just even hard to describe. She's far and away the strongest woman I've ever known. And she had to do it solo because the nearest family was 1,000 miles away. You know, and she did a phenomenal job. And my success, my return to health, my return to a real positive attitude is in a large part due to her great work. And secondly is in the medical care that I received, second to none. I've been very, very blessed. As a matter of fact, in my new book, I credit all five of the doctors that, you know, have done such a phenomenal job with me, that have taken such good care of me, and they're always available, you know, 24/7 to, you know, if I do have any type of an issue. And the other thing is, you know, just having a positive attitude, I find really is beneficial. Every day, you know, I think of a phrase a friend of mine taught me: every day your feet hit the floor is a great day because it beats the alternative.
It
And
is.
I live by that. You know, every day is a blessing because tomorrow is not guaranteed. And just have to have, I have to have a positive attitude to, you know, get to limitless and get to, you know, being a successful husband, father, grandfather, et cetera, and just enjoy every day to the max.
Yeah. And don't dismiss the part you played in putting in the work for yourself. You change your diet, you increase your activity, you
Right.
know, even the positive attitude. Talk about the difference that played.
Well, first of all, nutrition wise, yeah, I mentioned the pizza, the Chinese food, and all that stuff. And my sister used to call me the takeout king because before Susan and I met, I was a bachelor for 15 years, and I had horrible, horrible eating habits. And I can confidently say, if I had those same eating habits today, I wouldn't be here to talk to you. And you know, I started making changes slowly but surely. Susan is a great cook. You know, she cooks chicken, fish, veggies, things of that nature. So I try to make sure every meal I have veggies or fruit or both. And, you know, I limit portion control because, you know, it took me 20 years to lose the 160 pounds that I lost. And I'm bound and determined, I'm on the scale all the time just to make sure I'm not gaining it back. And if I gain, you know, a pound or two back, I work even a little harder the next day in the gym. So nutrition's a huge, huge component of how good I feel. Exercise also is another one. Former athlete, I was a football and hockey player. So I knew the drill and I knew how to do it. I just wasn't doing it for a long time. And then we moved to our active adult retirement community in 2006. And God said, Keith, there is a great gym 300 yards from your house, but it only works if you get in it. And I'm proud to say that going on 10 years now, unless we were on vacation, when I do a lot of walking and swimming, or the 9 weeks in the hospital, I have been in just about every weekday morning.
So do you hear it, folks? You have to put the work in. The doctors did their part. Susan, his wife, did their part, but Keith did the work. And
Yeah.
you have to have the right mindset to
You do.
want to do it. No one
Definitely.
can force you. No one can make you do it, right?
That's
You
right,
have to show up
exactly.
100%.
Positive attitude.
Yeah,
And you have to remember, again, tomorrow is not promised.
right.
You know, you have to make the best of today as best as you possibly can. And remember that every day your feet hit the floor is a great day because it beats the alternative. You know, and I live by that. And we try to live by that. And, you know, we spend a lot of time with our little doggy and, you know, just house full of love. And I'm very, very blessed to be where I am right now.
Tell us a little bit about your author books. You said you were the author of 6 books.
Well, I'm on my 6th book. My first 2 were sports related, and you can probably tell by the accent, I'm not originally from the South. I'm from Boston, where we park our car in Harvard Yard. My first book is called Confessions of a Beantown Sports Junkie, and it's all about Beantown is a acronym or a slang of Boston, and it's all about my playing days and my watching my Boston sports teams. I've been writing it for, you know, close to 30 years on and off, you know, just jotting down a page here, page there. Finally, when we retired in 06, Susan said, I've been hearing about this book for 20 years. All right, we're retired. You have the time to finish the darn thing. So I finished Confessions of a Beantown Sports Junkie, and that led to its sequel 2 years later called Fathers and Sons, Sports and Life. And that's more about my family, my incredible relationship and love with my late father, who was my biggest advocate. He went to every football practice. He sat in every frozen rink in North America watching me play hockey.
Mm-hmm.
And it also introduces Susan. It introduces my grandson, Harry. And I'm proud to say all 5 of my books have ratings of 4.4 or higher on Amazon at this point in time. And my third book
Congratulations.
is called Overcoming the Odds. And it's my story of surviving 2 brain surgeries, 1 cancer at the time, and a 2-decade-long battle with morbid obesity. And of course, we touched on the 4th book, which is On the Road to Remission. And my 5th is called The Pet Trifecta. We've had 3 amazing pets, and it's just a little kind of like a pocketbook that goes in it. It's a good stocking stuffer.
Okay. And what are you working on right now?
My 6th book is called Living Well with Cancer.
Mm.
I did a presentation for 50 of my fellow cancer patients back in March, and it was so well received that I have, it's a 9-point plan that I've implemented for myself to get me to where I am today and to keep me where I am today and every day from this point forward. And I'm expanding that into a book.
Oh, great.
Should be up within 60 days or so.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing your story. Are you still a coach? You coach?
Yes, I am a
Tell us
myeloma
about
coach.
that. You are a
Matter of fact,
myeloma coach. Tell us about that.
Well, I heard from one of my, they call them coachees, which is, I call them patients, but you know, when a myeloma patient is newly diagnosed, they have a million questions about treatment, diagnosis, where do I go from here, what doctor do I select, et cetera, what meds are safe for me to take. And they're looking for an experienced partner, if you will. And I, you know, just try to help them along the path of, you know, getting them answers to getting the best medical care like I've had, you know, making sure they're taking the right prescriptions and taking them on time, that they've cultivated a positive attitude, and whatever cancer they have, I've beaten 3, and they can beat, whatever they have. It's very, very rewarding, and it's a unique opportunity for me to give back. As a matter of fact, I just heard from one of my coaches by email today, and she's doing very, very well. She wasn't doing so well before, but now she's doing very well. And it's rewarding to hear from them that, I've helped them in any way. I'm also on the executive team for the American Cancer Society's Relay for Life.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. Relay for Life is the American Cancer Society's biggest fundraiser in the world.
Yeah, in April, I did the walk 100 miles for cancer.
Oh, you did? Wow,
yes,
that's great.
I did 119 miles in April.
Wonderful.
Raised some funds. Yes, I was very excited about
that's
that.
That's great.
Yeah.
For the Cancer Society?
Yes, I did.
Oh, wonderful. That's great. Yes. It's an incredible organization. They have taken such good care of me. I feel, I must give back, and I do whatever I can to help them out and help them bring in, more donations. And the more donations we all bring in, the closer we get to finding a cure for cancer.
Yes, I think it's so important that whatever our situation is in life, we should always give back. We can always find something to do for others, even when we're struggling. I find that giving back is such a big mood booster.
Yes.
Even if you're down and distressed, just helping someone else.
Definitely.
Yeah. So,
and I'm also an advocate for Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. I can't even pronounce lymphoma late today, but and we have a community fund where we live, and Susan and I help out on that. She was on the board, and we both do a lot of charity work and just giving back, realizing how incredibly blessed we are, and we want to give back as much as we possibly can.
Yes. Anything you didn't mention that you want our listeners to know about you? Tell them your name. I don't think you mentioned what your name.
Yeah, Keith Guernsey. And I just want anyone listening who is a cancer patient, they don't have to be a cancer patient, but that's my specialty, helping out cancer patients. Anyone who wants to communicate with me is welcome to do so. I'd be happy to help them in any way that I can. I will be happy to give my email address and my cell phone number, and they can contact me at any time, either email, cell phone, text.
Yeah, go ahead and share that. Go ahead and share it.
Email address, and I'm going to say it and I'm going to spell it because, as I say, I still have the Boston accent. It's the Guerns 2005 at yahoo.com. And that's T Tom, H Henry, E Edward, G George, U Unique, R Robert, N Nancy, S Sugar 2005 at yahoo.com. And my cell phone number is 978-973-5691. And I welcome anyone to contact me with any questions. It can be about cancer, it can be about, cultivating and maintaining a positive attitude in life. It can be about any of the books that I've written or any of the stories that I've written or anything else for that matter, if they just want to talk. We all need somebody to talk to.
Yeah. And you're available for speaking engagements also, right?
Absolutely. Yes, I am.
Yes. And where can they find your books?
On Amazon, you just have to type in Keith Guernsey, and it's Keith. Last name is Guernsey, Guernsey.
And there's a D in the middle. Yeah.
What's that?
Keith D. I was trying to Google find you on Amazon, and if I hadn't put the D, I wouldn't have found it. So maybe.
No, just Keith Guernsey, and I'm the only Keith Guernsey on Amazon, and all of my books at this point in time, if you read on a Kindle, are only 99 cents.
Yes. Thank you so much for being
here.
Pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Any last thoughts?
Just how grateful I am to be on with you. I appreciate the time. And again, if anyone would like to communicate with me, talk to me, talk about, cancer or, any other subject, just call me, text me, email me at any time.
Okay. You heard it, folks. Keith is a 3-time cancer survivor in remission. He's an author, speaker. You can reach out to him if you need to. He has dropped his information for you. From Stuck to Limitless. This is a program where we bring you fire starters and change maker with tips and insights to up-level your life from stuck to limitless. Thank you for joining us, and tune in next time, Saturdays, 3 p.m. EST on WJIL.today. From Stuck to Limitless. I am Marie McKenzie, your host, and see you next time. Have a good day. Bye-bye.